So we're here at Maureen's that had significant storm damage from Hurricane Helene. Out in this area, there was a huge oak tree that went all the way across, fell on the neighbor's fence, fell across the street. But this is the replacement fence. I wanted to show you, if you look, there's steps in the factory panels. And these are, here's terrain following when you put the pickets in individually instead of using factory panels. Here we have a simple hinge gate. The latch just, I'm sorry, I should have shown you that. You just push it shut. And what we did was made the gates in swing, so if the dogs push on it, it can't open accidentally. The corners for the hinge posts, they all have diagonal braces. 3 hinges. Drop rod, I'm sorry, should have showed you this. There's a drop rod into a block of concrete with exposed aggregate. It's just got a lot of dirt on it. But the drop rod, underneath here, I put blocks, 4-inch, 4x8 by 16. Concrete blocks, solids, and that's so the dogs can't dig underneath the gate. Drop rod drops in place. Again, the gate just latches. There's the concrete blocks and some crushed stone. This is all filled with ground up stumps. There was a whole variety of stumps in here that got ground up and mixed in with the dirt. And you can see it in the mulch right there. Now, I made a mistake when I did this. Factory panels sit for a long period of time and they dry out and they're really good. In this one, I matched the height of each of the factory, the rails on each of the factory, and they have a really large distance down here at the bottom of the picket. And that caused problems over here. Because on this side, the sun was drying out the pickets and they were pulling away from curling out towards the sun. Usually it's on the other side of the fence for most of the day. So what I had to do was add an extra rail down the bottom and attach the pickets to that just to keep them from curling out too far. Now what I did was, the top of the posts are lower than the pickets, and these pickets were tight, and now look at the gaps as they dry out a little bit. I got copper caps going to go on the top of those posts, and again terrain following, so we go uphill and then level again. You may not see that so well, but if I come over here, maybe you can see it a little better. See it? Terrain following. Today we took down about 70 feet of picket fence that ran across here, over here, and across the back there. You can see the remnants of where things were. And took out some dirt. That's part of it. Here's a temporary fence They kept the dog out of the area. That's fallen down. That gets cleaned up tomorrow. Here's a little gate. Back here, owner wanted to be able to look over this area and make sure there was nothing going on. Got a little chain link fence to fix there. This case, we're just using a drop rod because this is rarely used back here. So we have a little gate. Again, some concrete blocks because the ground is not firm from all the tree grindings. A little bit of exposed aggregate and the seeded aggregate technically, and a drop rod in there. I've got a handle to put on for this, which I'll do, but it's really not necessary. This is also on a single post, which I know over time is going to pull in. So I left a little bit bigger gap up the top. I don't know if you can see that moving the way I want you to see it, but I left a little bigger gap at the top. Dog can't get through there, but it won't hit the building. Maureen did not want it attached to the shed or another post put in. And so we got a little bit of work there to do, but it's 99% done as far as I'm concerned. The fence is 99% done. There's more landscaping. Got cleanup to do, but part of this is going to go to another project on the property. And filled a lot of the holes already, but I got a little more dirt to move. Filling in some holes over here and etc. But a huge oak tree was here. So big, it went up on the roof, took special crane. It crashed through the roof, went through the center of the house. Hurricane Helene did us in. But now it's like the sun is shining because we are almost done this fence. There's some, that's just some toys from the swings being there. So that's what it looks like. I don't know, 150 pickets, 1,000 screws, homemade gates, tent side gates as I call them. I learned from somebody else, half laps on the joints. So everything's half lapped, glued and screwed with waterproof glue, but you can see half lap, right? Half laps. And I'll give you one more view. And here's this side of the fence. Not perfect, but we did a pretty good job of keeping the nails, the screws straight. Got some metal fencing to remove, but we'll deal with that. The posts still done. I got to repair this part.